Thank you. I'm absolutely delighted to be here. Clearly I missed the brief because it's all about Kiwibank, as you can see. But today I want to talk to you about brand guardianship. And it's something that's really, really close to my heart and always has been. And for me, brand guardianship is about two things. Number one, it's about consistency. And number two, it's about constantly evolving your brand. I'm just going to wait for my... Hold on. There you go. So brand guardianship, I'm going to talk about 10 things that I think are true around brand guardianship. And for me, number one is about, and some of my colleagues talked about it, a brand is not just about the logo or the advertising, it's about what you see, what you hear, and what you experience. And I think the number one role as a brand guardian is to educate whichever organisation you work for and take advertising or take it out of the marketing department and take brand right across the touch points across the organisation. And at Kiwibank, that's something that we absolutely focus on. For me, you know, coming into Kiwibank, almost coming up to 3 years ago, I had a greater opportunity to screw it up than I did to actually make it stronger. And I think that is a significant challenge. I don't know if many of you have been in that situation. When you inherit as a guardian a brand, your number one role is to leave it in a stronger place than when you started. There is a huge opportunity to screw it up. And I want to talk about ego because I think that as marketers, that's one thing that we allow our ego to get in the way at times. And we do things that are potentially right for us in our careers versus the actual business and brand that we have responsibility for. So I want you to stop and reflect on that. And to all the advertising agencies in the room, and we have a wonderful partner who is in this room, I think as brand guardian, it's your responsibility to look after the brand. It's not your advertising agency. You have to live it, you have to breathe it, you have to protect it internally. And it's really critical. I see time and time again when I can see when someone's handed off that responsibility to an agency and it's not right, because soon enough you end up knee-jerking and you end up going in a direction that you never thought you were going to. So I think the other thing is evolution, not revolution. Coming into Kiwibank for me was, how do I evolve this brand? How do I strengthen it? How do we continue being a challenger and understand what our DNA is, but evolve and not have a revolution? Why try and screw something up? How do I make it stronger? The golden thread, great brands tell great stories. And if you think about Kiwibank over the last 12 years, it's all about the narrative that we've built and we've reinforced, but we've also evolved it at the same time. Brands are built from the inside out. Great brands are built from the inside out. So what you see here is that our culture internally is an absolute reflection of who we are externally. We don't differentiate between inside and outside. So when I talk about the DNA, understanding the DNA of your brand, at Kiwibank it's all about authenticity. Always has been, always will be. So that is a brush we put across everything that we do. Is it authentic? Authentic with energy, so it's a very energised place. So authenticity, so if you think of our latest brand campaign, which was around yelling out all the other competitors' names, you have to be pretty confident if you're going to do that, and it's pretty risky. But those customers were customers, they're real stories, and we made sure absolutely to the nth degree that it was authentic, because at the end of the day, that's what we're all about. The other thing I want to talk about is discipline and creativity. You know, brand guardianship is about discipline, which delivers you consistency, but it's also about being creative as well. So we have very strong brand guidelines, but they allow us a lot of creativity within them. So one of them is, if it looks like another bank, sounds like another bank, then it's not Kiwibank. So making sure that we're constantly differentiating. Another one is no bullshit, which is really, really challenging internally, and especially when you're a bank, because a bit of smoke and mirrors goes on in banking. So we're constantly challenging ourselves around that. The fruit is in your roots. This is something I learned at Cannes a couple of years ago. If I see brands time and time again that lose their way, and for me this really rang true. If you start to drift and you start to lose your way, go back to where you started. The fruit is always going to be in your roots. Who you are and what you became, you need to go back and look there and to find the answer to actually move forward. And I think that's a really powerful thing that you can do as a guardian of a brand. I talked about inside out, I talked about our culture. At Kiwibank, we absolutely understand, our people understand why they get out of bed every day and come to work. And I know that some of my colleagues talked about that connection internally. If you can really connect internally and get people excited about why they're there and ultimately what they're there to do, that's absolute gold, absolute magic. So, some of the internal stuff you saw there, which is, opening the hood a bit to show you, that passion and that drive is what gets you through those tough times, and always understanding why you're there and what you're there to do is a really powerful ingredient for culture. So who you are on the inside should be reflected on who you are on the outside. Is it easy? Absolutely not. Brand equals customer experience. This is an absolute passion of mine. When I came into Kiwibank, I screamed loud and clear that we had a promise in market that was way stronger than our ability to deliver. So we've been absolutely passionately trying to close that gap. And I think, if you think brand equals customer experience, you can go a long way to actually closing that gap and make sure you're delivering on those promises right across all your touch points that you're actually representing that brand. So, summarise your legacy in terms of brand guardianship. For me, it is about leaving it in a stronger place than when you started. Get your ego out of the way on that. Got that signal. It is about leaving it positioned for growth, and it is about leaving a passion, an absolute passion internally for who you are, what you stand for, and ultimately what you're going to deliver for your customers. And I think that, for me, should be every marketer's or brand marketer's discipline in terms of any organisation. Have I forgotten anything? I think that's it. That's it. Am I within time? No. And can I just say we have the smallest budget out of anyone, but that is a gift in itself. I've worked at other banks, and it is a gift to have a small budget because you have to think, you have to be smarter, and I totally agree with Roger. It is all about content creation in the future. Couldn't agree more.